right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Parks and Community Services Commission regular meeting of September 14th, 2023. We're going to call the meeting to order here at 6:01 p.m. And now I'd like to turn it over for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Glab from District 1, would you be so kind to lead us in the pledge tonight? Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner Glab. And then we will turn it over to Ms. Fatua and Ms. Vitari for the roll call.
Commissioner Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia Arcos,
Present.
Commissioner Glab,
Here.
Commissioner Wall, Commissioner Wright,
Here.
Vice Chair Dorn Parker,
Here.
Chair Rutherford.
Present.
Great, we have quorum.
Awesome. Thank you. Next item is public comments for matters not listed on the agenda. If there's any members of the public that would like to make a comment this evening, or any members of the public on Zoom that would like to make a comment, you can raise your hand.
Chair, I see no members on Zoom.
Awesome. Seeing no public comments, we'll go ahead and close public comment and then move on to commissioner comments and suggestions. We'll just go in numerical order tonight, starting with District 1 and Commissioner Glab.
No comments.
District 3, Commissioner Wall.
Got to keep remembering to hit that button. I said I wasn't going to do this and embarrass her in public, but I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to Laura Fatua for becoming the most recent recipient of the city's Leadership Award. Sorry, I just had to do that. And that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Wall. And District 4, Commissioner Garcia Arcos.
Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I wanted to give a shout out to Rob for making it on Thursday. We had a Zoom meeting with CAL FIRE. We have an opportunity for a grant that I was told by Marcos and his supervisor. And so I just wanted to thank everybody for making it. Vice Chair Liz Parker, thank you for making it out as well. And there's really a lot of great opportunities to come from that. So thank you so much for making that possible. I did also want to mention that we are a part of Labors of Love, and we celebrate this organization once a month, every Saturday, the first Saturday of every month. And if you're all wanting to bless a neighbor in need, we do this once a month, first Saturday, for 3 hours. Reach out to Raina Cuthill from Trellis or Birdie. I can give that information if anybody wants to ask me after this. So that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And next we'll go to District 5, Commissioner Brown.
Yes, good evening. I guess I wanted to start with our Recs department. My daughter is playing in the volleyball league that's happening right now, the free class, and it's only day 2. It's actually happening very soon. But she started on Tuesday and is loving it. And, just having the opportunity to sit there and watch the kids, I think it's important to acknowledge that. A good group of, it's a good number, an appropriate number, I would say, for the court, which is also nice to see. And just wanted to share that I have a daughter who's loving it. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Fairview Park meeting that I attended a couple of weeks ago. I've lost track of time. It was super, and some of the commissioners have remarked upon this too, so I think you'll hear it from others. A very impressive turnout in terms of the number of people who showed up for a public engagement meeting around Fairview Park, and I think the city should be commended for that. Numbers do matter in that case. As I was talking with Councilmember Reynolds about who was in the room and who wasn't in the room, it strikes me, or it struck both of us, that there is an opportunity to do some more outreach in terms of youth engagement. And one of the ideas that I had proposed to her, and just want to mention here on the record, is that, Costa Mesa could pursue something like a youth committee, some sort of roving committee of youth who could engage on various matters related to city business as we're looking for a youth perspective. It was a good group that turned out in terms of numbers, but we were definitely missing some voices in the room. And then the second thing that I noticed, there was, at times it was a contentious public engagement meeting. There were a lot of opinions there and a lot of people who wanted to be heard. And I do think it was frustrating for some of the citizens because there was very clearly an agenda. And I think it's really important to have an agenda that you stick to. But the sense I got was that citizens really wanted to be heard, and especially at a public engagement meeting, I think it's important for us to signal and do that public engagement. Something we might consider for future meetings is having a sort of 15 or 20 minute session at the beginning where it could be an open conversation or a place to contribute ideas that people hear, and then we move on to the agenda as defined. So that was just a remark I wanted to make as based upon an observation that I do think that people in the room really wanted to be heard. So something to consider for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. And next we'll go to Commissioner Wright.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. Hope you all had a wonderful summer, and I'm excited to see all of the programming and events we have coming up for the fall and then holiday seasons. For my comments today, I also was reflecting on the Fairview Park Community Input Meeting. I walked away also feeling a bit of tension, but just really grateful for the turnout and for so many people that are passionate about Fairview Park, and I think it shows that we're putting our energy in the right place in dreaming together about what it all could be. And so I just want to say that I thought you all did a really good job. I thought the consultants, I had a really good experience with the table that I was at. I thought the consultant really managed expectations, helped everyone feel heard, and also kept us on track. So I'm grateful for that experience. I also noticed the lack of youth, but specifically I would love to see more parents there. I think they could give really substantive feedback and also might be a more reliable group to reach out to, who we can count on to turn out for a 6 p.m. weekday evening meeting. Specifically when we're talking about things like nature play or a center, or something that came up at our group from the one parent at the table was making sure the trails, or some trails, are stroller friendly. So really, they think outside of the box. They got really excited about some more seating, shaded seating areas for picnics. So I just thought it was a great experience, learned a lot from, my fellow residents, and I was thinking possibly reaching out to Waldorf parents or Estancia parents, or just any local PTA groups would be a really good idea, and I'm excited to see them turn out at the next meeting. I was also thinking about our meeting when we talked about the summer programs and we had the presentation. And I was wondering, or thought it would be a great idea to actually reach out to all of the residents that participated in the summer programs and possibly invite them to come share their experiences if they had any feedback for us. It was really cool to hear from staff on the topic, and I would love to hear possibly from our residents, almost similar to how we did the community gardens input agenda item, and how we had such a good turnout and outside of the box feedback from them. And my last thing is I just want to say thank you for the CIP report. I wasn't there at the last meeting, but it was great to see just a kind of table visual of everything that's going on. I'm really excited to hear one of our first CIP projects today. And I feel like I'm really fortunate because now when I see the city and I walk around, I see all the future projects that are coming up as almost like a lens. And so just the more that we can share that with the public so that they can also get excited and be prepared to share their input with us, whether it's in short-term signage or social media, I think that would be really great. And until then, I will continue telling everyone I know about upcoming projects. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight's meeting, and thanks for all of you for being here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner Wright. And next we'll go to Vice Chair Dorn Parker.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to really thank our city council and the staff. We know there's some trauma at Harper Park, and now there's this idea of how to move forward and how to use it maybe as a demonstration of how do you communicate, and also recognizing that the shared use agreement is really critical moving forward to have all of the residents that share a tax space and the shared living space. So our city manager and the superintendent are really working together is what I ended up finding out. And we know we have some comments by someone who is near Harper Park, and I continue to meet with residents there to talk about their concerns. And it's still the same, the lack of communication when it went up, the lack of communication, what's being done. And also, dogs off leash, actually it concentrated them more into a smaller space, which was interesting to hear from their point of view. There's been a little bit of heated conversations because of that. The space is so constricted now. Then also that I will be meeting with some Brentwood families who have some concerns and ideas about Brentwood that they're, which is really important to hear. So council member and I will be meeting with them. Also, I participated in the household waste collection, and I want to just say thank you to the city for partnering with our Assemblywoman, Petri Norris. I just couldn't believe it. I saw some city truck up there too, which is important for us all to do hazardous waste and waste kind of material. So thank you for utilizing the senior parking lot. And then also, I want to thank our deputy city manager who's taken on this role after the Fairview Park. And I didn't sit at a table. I kind of wandered around to kind of get an idea of what people were saying and the frustration. And I think that you've really captured it. But I also reached out to her with an email and just said, there was some concerns. People weren't being heard, but also I heard rumor that was back to school night for some of the elementary schools, which limited the families to participate. But also we know when you have a weekday night, you might need, as we know, we've trying to do community outreach. It's good to have a couple ones, so and a couple ideas of what to get to the people who are going to attend a little bit ahead of time. But what I heard was nothing but imagine what the park can do, how we can protect it, but at the same time, how do we really continue to imagine that space for the city, which is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I just want to acknowledge the deputy city manager Reyes has been really great as we've been moving through. And I had another chance to visit another city, Santa Fe, New Mexico, went to lots of parks, my little 2-year-old grandson. And I have to say, they're not as innovative. They're very artistic. One of the things that they do really well is they have tremendous art that's out in the public space because it's a very art community. So they had some really cool, they had this supersized dog that was a famous sculptor, but they had swings underneath it. So the children could swing in the swings underneath this art. So it was interesting. So I continued to do my research as I go, bruv. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vice Chair. Great comments tonight. Appreciate everybody. I just want to add on and report a few things. I also had the opportunity to attend the Fairview Park community meeting. It was a great turnout, and I definitely want to second some of the feedback that's already been shared. And I also wrote to the team and expressed my feedback as well. My son has been putting a lot of miles on the new equipment at Tanager Park and Lions Park, so that's been a lot of fun. The weather's been nice, so I hope everybody's been enjoying our parks with their families. And then I also just wanted to add thank you to Ms. Reyes. I definitely appreciate her being, very responsive to community members of the commission so far in your current capacity. So we've had the opportunity to have a few discussions over the past few weeks about some ongoing priorities like the open space master plan, which I know that the team is working on, looking at some of the rental rates for community facilities, for residents and nonprofit groups. I know that's something we've discussed in the past, so I definitely appreciate the team's attention to that. And then also looking at ways to get really creative and expanding our community rental space and park space. So really some great ideas that we've had the opportunity to discuss, and I appreciate that the city manager's office is very dedicated. So that's it from me tonight. We'll close commissioner comments and move on to old business. Just one item, which, Ms. Vitari, go ahead.
Commissioners, we would also like to acknowledge that we received a public comment via email and will be available under public comment on tonight's agenda.
Wonderful. Thank you for adding that. The only item old business is the minutes from August 10th. If there's any discussion or a motion. Motion by Vice Chair Dorn Parker and seconded by Commissioner Brown. And we'll go ahead and call the question.
Motion carries 7-0 to approve the minutes of the August 10th meeting.
Awesome. Thank you. Now we're on to new business. The first item in new business is the design for the improvements to the Tewinkle Lake system. So, Mr. Ryan, I believe we have a presentation tonight.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Chair Rutherford, commissioners, fellow staff. The first item before you is the review of the final design improvements for the Tewinkle Lake system. With me this evening is Andy Comer, Vice President of Pacific Advanced Civil Engineering. Some may remember Andy from the last meeting, his last presentation, when we presented the initial design concepts and the initial report. Just for those of you that are fairly new to the commission, we'll have a little bit of a review. PACE was contracted by the city to evaluate the lake system and the associated maintenance issues there. Part of their scope of work is to produce a set of working plans, specifications, and estimates that will address those maintenance issues that are out there currently. PACE has a great deal of experience in designing and redesigning lake systems for various municipalities nationwide, and we're fortunate to have Andy and his team as on board with the city for this project. A little bit of background, again, for those of you who didn't get to hear it the first time around. Tewinkle Park, it's a 49-acre park dedicated in 1965. Within the park lies the Tewinkle Lake system, which is a group of artificial water features consisting of two lakes, an upper lake, what we call the upper lake and the lower lake. Those are the main bodies of water there. Two upper ponds on each side, intermediate pond on the lower east side, 5 streams. It contains nearly 2 acres of water surface and over 3,000 linear feet of shoreline. Over the past several years, water leakage has developed in the 2 primary lakes, resulting in a significant water loss, which Andy will delve into a little bit more during his presentation. It's also undermining the lake bed and the surrounding soil areas. There's several attempts over the years to make some minor repairs, including just putting some sandbags in various locations where we observed leaks, as well as injecting some concrete into certain areas. But despite those temporary attempts, the leaks have worsened over time. In addition, there's some other maintenance issues regarding the pumps, the gravel bed, and the biological filter, as well as the aeration systems have been non-functioning and they need to be either repaired or replaced. The pump that actually operates the circulation system is currently off. That circulation system moves the water around, gets water out of the existing corners, and is supposed to help with some of the cleanup and maintenance of the lake. Over time, the water quality of the lake has also been compromised due to the lack of the filtration system that's operating properly, and excess nutrient input from the excessive amount of waterfowl that are present at the lake. The lack of circulation, excess nutrients has made it difficult to control algae blooms during the summer months. And fortunately, the city has planned a capital improvement project to address these concerns. PACE presented completed their initial assessment report and provided an initial design, both of which were shared to the Commission in July 2022. PACE has now completed the final design, which has been accepted by staff and reviewed by an outside consultant that also specializes in lake design and water management. PACE has prepared a presentation this evening and will provide an overview of the issues, corresponding solutions that are included in this final plan. With that, I'll turn it over to Andy Comer, again, Vice President of Pacific Advanced Civil Engineering.
Good evening, everyone. Andy Comer with PACE, as Rob mentioned, and this morning I actually had a call with Dubai. I mentioned to Commissioner Wall on a lakes project, and we have lakes projects in Canada and all over the place. We did SoFi Stadium. I've been so fortunate in my career to work on a lot of lakes projects, but it's so fun to do one close to home. I actually coach Little League in Costa Mesa. My son's 9, so I'm already getting sad that he's only got a couple of years left, but every night when we're coaching baseball, we see the geese fly from Tewinkle Lakes up and over Costa Mesa High School. So as part of this project, obviously waterfowl is a big deal, but I've visited this park and other Costa Mesa parks for a long time, but it's great to do a project close to home. And so it's hard for me to believe that I look back at my photos here when I was waiting. It was May 2021, we started the brainstorming process for what this could become. We've had a great time working with Rob and Sung and you guys to come up with a great set of alternatives, converge on the most optimal design possible, and here we are tonight to present what we're going to construct next year. So just quick background, I'm going to reiterate a couple things Rob said and then fire through some slides before I get to the solutions. 2-acre recreational lake, recirculating waterfalls, which is neat. I just walked the site again about an hour ago, and it's gorgeous. I mean, there's a lot of birds, etc., but it's a gorgeous set of lakes, and it's well designed, and it's stood the test of time. Highly visited. There were probably 40 people out there. Challenges with birds. It's at the end of its service life. I mean, it's gotten what it can get out of it. It's time to make improvements. Specifically, we're losing 8 million gallons of water per year due to seepage. So we put in a new lining system. We can prevent that seepage and make sure that we're not losing precious water. And there's also opportunities to improve the aesthetics, the quality, the use of the park. So here's a plan view. Arlington is on the bottom of the screen going left to right. So if just to orientate ourselves, if we walked across the fairgrounds, you would be right at the bottom of the page. And so you've got water that gets fed up into the ponds way up on top of the hill. It cascades all the way down into Lake 2. Lake 2 cascades down into Lake 1. And then the pump station ideally sucks it out and discharges it back up to the top of the ponds. So there's 5 improvement opportunities. Number 1, we want to replace the damaged shorelines. That's the interactive face between the water and the land, and it's eroded and it's got no vegetation. I think generally speaking, if we want to be modernizing these lakes, we want to have a nice blend of green in the water. So it's not just brown dirt and blue water. You've got a beautiful interface there at the shoreline. Number 2, we can improve the shape and edge condition. Right now there's too many fingers and there's some foam and scum that accumulate. We can improve that edge. Number 3, probably the most important thing is the liner is shot and we need to replace that. Number 4, we can improve the water clarity and appearance, make it look blue and clear as much as possible. And number 5, we want to encourage the waterfowl to designated areas so they're not just everywhere and it's a nuisance to sort of walk around some of the feces. Same map, just some images of what's out there today. Upper left, you see tree roots. Over time, a lot of the topsoil has been degraded, and so you see not only a tripping hazard, but you've got roots all over the place. Upper right, the shoreline is very steep on the edges, and obviously it's eroded. You got eroded shoreline sort of throughout, exposed piping, and some issues with the pier deck. A few more images of the shoreline conditions. I'm going to use the word ugly piping that you can see. You shouldn't be able to see this recirculation piping. It's come to the surface in some areas. And widespread waterfowl. They're on the islands, they're on the paths, and as you walk around, you sort of have to tiptoe around to make sure you don't step in it. And, we'd like to try to control them to the best we can. So during the process, we took water samples out there, 3 different water samples. We looked at assortment of different parameters. And if you could see ortho P, that's phosphorus. In order to control algae growth, we'd like to have phosphorus less than 0.1. The phosphorus, every sample was about 0.9. So it's almost 10 times higher than what we would prefer to have a clear, clean water. And we're going to try to attack that. Obviously, we've got new phosphorus coming in from the waterfowl, but there's ways to recirculate with treatment systems to get it as blue and clear as possible. Here's a photo of the existing pump station. The equipment is outdated. There's a lot of equipment that's not being used in that room. We're going to optimize and maximize the use of that existing building. So those were the problems. Now we're going to get to the solutions. So we've got 5 solutions. We're actually going to deepen the lakes. Why would we deepen the lakes? Because we want to have cold, dark water that's not subject to sunlight penetration, and that'll actually keep it clear throughout. If you've got a shallow water body, it gets really warm, you get a lot of growth, and we get bad water quality. So we're actually going to regrade and deepen out the lakes. We'll reline it with a modern liner. It's a reinforced polyethylene liner, and we're going to reshape the lake. So that's number 1. Number 2, we're going to have new shorelines with natural edges. Number 3, we're going to renovate the edges for aesthetics, usability, and maintenance. We're going to have this beautiful wall on the island I'll get to here in a little bit. And so we're going to have a people area, and we're going to have a waterfowl area. I'm not going to promise you the waterfowl doesn't go into the people area, but we're going to try as much as possible to separate those 2 areas. Number 4, we're going to have automated treatment of water quality this time and get that recirculation pump that Rob talked about working again. And we're going to provide features to encourage waterfowl to designated areas. So here's a photo of what a modern liner looks like. And so the shoreline is going to have some reinforced concrete on it, either laid back or vertical. And then we'll have this liner system that sort of goes up and over the edge and ties into a keyway. So there's no way that water inside the lake could seep. And there'll actually be a veneer of concrete on top of the liner, just in case in the shallow areas there was a fishing hook or something else, it couldn't get through the liner. Here's an image of a vegetated shoreline. So now I'm talking once again about having some variety in the way the shorelines look. These images on the upper right are the award-winning Irvin Magic Johnson Park up in Compton. But you've got the hardened vertical shoreline that's up against the land. You'll have a designated wetland shelf and then a shallow gabion wall that will separate the water, and that will keep the waterfowl from getting up and down on the shoreline edge and give you this nice break and variety in the shoreline uses. So here's a plan view of the new grading. You can see the topographic lines inside the lake. We're going to go as deep as possible. We'll also have a safety ledge so that if anybody falls in, they'll land in a shallow amount of water, 30 inches of water, and be able to get back out again. But then after the safety shelf, we're going to go down deep, cold, dark water. And then in the green, you'll see that mixture of vegetated areas. We'll also keep open viewscapes from Arlington, from the parking lot as you walk in. So you have about a 50-50 mixture of open view corridors and planted edges, which will give you that sort of, look around the corner effect as you look into the lakes. A key feature here in the middle is there's actually, I get confused a little bit, we call it the island. The walkway is, in my opinion, the big island, the main island. Lake 1 had a little small island that we were thinking about getting rid of. I think it was important to keep the historic trees and uses of the small island, so we ended up keeping the small island. But the big island, which is in the middle where the walkway goes through, you can see we're going to do important improvements there. And those improvements will consist of a mixture of this barrier. And the barrier will have a gabion wall bench, a gabion wall, a concrete planter, and an aluminum fence. And so what that'll do is it'll give you seating opportunities, hopefully get away from the waterfowl, and the waterfowl will only be able to get in on the south side, the Lake 1 side, where the other island is under normal operation. And the north side, or the Lake 2 side, will be for the humans to use. Here's some of the landscaping that's proposed on that island. Right now, the island is just completely bare dirt, roots and dirt and concrete, and we want to have a beautiful mixture of these different plants that are drought tolerant, but will also provide a break of that DG exposed dirt all over the place. So the rushes will be in the water, and then on the island you can see about 8 different varieties of low growing plants that don't require a lot of water. And an important feature on that island that we are providing in this project is we'll actually have a sewer connection. So if there is waterfowl excrement, instead of washing it into the lakes, we'll be able to wash it into a sewer drain that'll actually go to the sanitary sewer, which will be an improvement to the lake as well. One of the proposed treatment mechanisms is as we discharge water from Lake 1 up to the top and recirculate it, we're going to be able to add a little bit of coagulant, and what that'll do is it'll attack the algae, the turbidity, and the phosphorus. So as you can see on this photo on the lower left, this is another picture from, I believe it's Irvin Magic Johnson Park when we first started up. On the left is the algae-laden water. Once we've coagulated the water, it becomes crystal clear. Now the entire lake, I want to set the expectation correctly. It's not going to be a swimming pool. But as we recirculate water over weeks and months with this coagulant and we recirculate to different strategic zones, it'll start to clear up to a desired quality, which is a penetration of at least 3 or 4 or 5 feet. And so you can see the recirculation patterns here on this image. And when we discharge directly to the lake planter areas that I showed you in the previous slides, we'll overflow it with the coagulant. These images here on the right kind of show you how the water is crystal clear, and it discharges into the wetland planter where it gets polished additionally, and all the sediment and silt can drop out there so it doesn't drop out in the lake. So when it does overflow in the lake, you've got blue and clear water. And this is the final slide here. A couple images from SoFi Stadium and Irvin Magic Johnson Park where you can see this blend of shoreline conditions, green space, but the waterfowl is sort of where we want them to be and not up where the humans are walking around the lake. So with that, I'd like to answer questions with Rob.
Thank you, Andy. So over the next few months, staff will be soliciting proposals, working through contract award process. Construction will be anticipated to begin in mid to late 2024. Tonight, we're just seeking any comments from this commission before we begin the solicitation phase of the project. So now we'd be happy to entertain answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you for the great presentation and your work thus far. Open it up to commissioner comments and questions. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Just a quick one, Andy. By the way, outstanding presentation. That you look at the pictures and it's just magnificent what you're doing there. Waterfall deterrent. How do you do that?
Yeah, I don't think I use the word deterrent. We would like to do some more deterrent things. Like if you go out, for example, to SoFi Stadium, if you've been to the stadium, they have a falconeer that comes out every day, and the seagulls will go away for about an hour, and then when the falconeer leaves, they come back. So there's methods. We're not proposing to do any kind of deterrent, Rob, but we would like them to go to designated areas as much as possible.
I think that's the goal, is really to get them into designated areas. Right now, they kind of rule that side of the park, and so a lot of the comments that we receive, the maintenance issues that we receive are from water, the excrement from the waterfowl that's makes it difficult to use. So that's the goal, is at least get them to a certain location where we can deal with that waste and have the rest of the park as usable space for people to enjoy.
And then with that sewer system runoff that you were describing, that'll help a lot too. That's great. Good stuff. Thanks.
I have a few questions and comments. Also, wonderful presentation. I'm really excited. I just want to say thank you to a group of friends who are parents and their kids. We did a couple rounds on some scooters yesterday. It was great. Hear the parents' feedback, see what the kids see. And actually, you guys hit it on the nose. So I'll highlight the ones that you already addressed. They asked for more seating, so I think that additional kind of built-in bench on the island would be awesome. There's some benches on the like outer perimeter, but that was something they requested. More, they did observe the dirt island. So landscaping there, or landscaping on the main island, is going to be beautiful. Of course, we talked about the bird poop. Waterfowl excrement, that's a mouthful. Props to you guys. And then I'm just going to talk about some things. I'm curious, what is your hypothesis on why the birds congregate where they do?
It's feeding. Yeah, it's largely due to
The
residents, the public
feeding.
feeding the waterfowl on a regular basis. These birds are supposed to be migratory and moving on to different locations, and they're not gonna go anywhere when they're being fed on a regular basis.
Yeah, we noticed that they were all kind of in the shaded areas too. So the kind of outer path hardly had any excrement on it, and then right where the bridge is across the island was a war zone.
And the residents that feed them congregate towards
Go
the shaded areas as well, and so that's where we see a lot of even just people just dumping food. Restaurants that come by and dump food, and it's some at times some large piles of rice and bread out there for the birds. So it's
Wow,
yeah.
that's terrible. Do we fine people for doing that?
At this point, there's no fine process. There's a process in place that if people are caught doing that, they can be restricted from the park according to current code, but there's no fines that are instituted at this point. I think we prefer to, the educational side of things, educate people that the feeding of bread is not good for the ducks. It's not good for them. So we do have signs posted that kind of explain that, but no, there's no fines at this point.
Cool, I was curious if you wish you could fine people, but that answers my question. I'm curious, the water seepage, where does it go? Is it going to the grass perimeters, and that's why you've got like a marshy?
No, it actually seeps down into it's called the unconfined aquifer. It's actually the soil that doesn't have water in it, and it seeps down through that until it hits the water table, which could be hundreds of feet down. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we've just been giving back to the community through our aquifer.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, I think, the people I was with were curious if we could have like educational signs instead of the "Don't feed us" signs. What do you think about that? I know that's a little bit more maybe outside of the scope of this phase.
It is outside the scope of this particular phase, but it is something that we are including as we move forward. Some upgrades to the signs. Those haven't been necessarily designed by Andy and his team, but it is something that the rest of the team is talking about and will happen along with this project. So yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that fits in line with like educating and hopefully incentivizing them to take care of the waterfowl better. Okay, something that I think was really interesting was at certain parts along the path, it gets closer and farther from the lake. And specifically when there was like more of a sharp turn, there was like a rock lining perimeter, almost like a safety buffer. And so I was wondering, we were concerned, especially, 4-year-olds on scooters, at the points where it gets really close to the lake, a higher likelihood of falling in. So their request was at the parts where it gets closer to the lake, if we could consider safety buffers. I know we're doing buffers for the birds, but yeah, we were.
Yeah, I think we've covered that really well because in the shoreline, obviously 50% is this vegetated shallow zone right there. So it's really shallow water with big plants. And then the rest of it actually has some rock outcroppings and things like that if it does ever get close. And then there'll be new landscaping between the sidewalk and the shoreline also, which will have taller grasses.
Yeah, I think the greenery kind of gives that visual, whether you're a kid or an adult too. So
barrier.
I think that's really great. Okay, I think my last question is, The boat deck. Is that just what it's called, or are we exploring boats?
We refer to it as the pier. I think that's something that maybe Andy picked up as a boat deck, but yeah, not at this point.
Some cute like rowboats would
Yeah.
be so fun, or the pedal boats.
Right, yeah.
Hey, that could be revenue generating. I'm not against it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited. This park is, you know, a gem to our city. We all love it. It's beautiful already. So can't wait to see what you will make of it.
I agree.
Thank you.
I too am excited. I really appreciate the different kind of the attention to the different aesthetic value that you've laid out in terms of the diversity. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in person. One, I'm not a plant person, so this might be obvious, but it isn't obvious to me. I guess the question is, how did you choose the plants you did, or at least the ones that you displayed? I appreciate that they're drought tolerant. I guess I'm thinking about Fairview Park and invasive species, so I wanted to check in with you about that.
Yeah, I mean, we should, double and triple check that aspect, but that was a big challenge of the project because those birds trample and they eat, and at first I was like, Rob, we got to put artificial turf all over the place. So we obviously got away from that, but we had to choose something that was extremely hardy, and we worked with our plant specialist, Dr. Ron Ravancic, on that. We came up with some, really hardy, low-growing, low-water, salt-tolerant species. We have to make double, triple check that they're not invasive, but we've got 7 of them to create some variety in different pockets like that. But we want to have some kind of ground cover on that island.
I like the color diversity, like just so that you're interested in looking at it. But I do think the invasive species is important so that in 20 years, the folks who are sitting up here aren't like, and now we have to take all of that out. And then the other thing is just a question of curiosity. What, if any, was the feedback that you received from the outside consultant who reviewed? I'm just kind of curious what you might have heard from them.
Yeah, there were some minor comments, some suggestions of looking at a concrete layer over the plastic or the polyurethane layer as added protection. I'm trying to recall now that we had notes. A skimmer, like a similar to, obviously not a pool skimmer, but some type of skimmer system that we had considered in the past. I think that was a majority of the comments. He reviewed, some of the flow calculations and things of that nature. But I think those were the major comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to personally thank you for looking at the shallow shelf in case children fall in. I thought just one of my children fell in, but both my kids went to the Costa Mesa camp, and that was at Tewinkle, and I gathered my other son also said he fell in. So I had no idea. I guess it was a swim day, so I assumed he was wet because they used to take him to the park. So thank you, because that's the reality of what happens when you run around at a park. The question I had is, I noticed on page 5 of the plan is there's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So can you describe like the timing of that? Is it a window, or is it just this will be done first and then immediately second, or that? I'd be curious about that.
So thank you for that question. Yeah, it's more the latter, that it's going to be in order, and a lot of that is based on the ability to transfer the fish that are present in the lake, some of the turtles that are present in the lake. So if we do one at a time, we can move those from one location to another right there on site.
Okay.
So that's the major piece of that.
Okay. And then the other question I had is, which is more we're really about communication and outreach, is I'm hoping the city sets up a really exciting landing page in social media about informing the public of what's going on, bringing up the plans, showing what's happening. I know there's times where you can do like a fast video that shows kind of throughout the day what happens. So I just hope we use this as an opportunity to explain by doing how much we've changed, and we're really involving the community, and have a place where people, could put in great job, or what's this species of plants, and what happened to the turtles, because that's going to be asked. So I think that would be an opportunity. It's interesting, lastly, you say about the boats or rowboats. I notice a lot of communities who have these little docks, they have little remote boats. I don't want to start a flying club conversation, but I do know that they do have where the kids kind of do the remote boating and sailing concept. So I don't know, like you said, it could be revenue generating. So, but thank you. This is an amazing plan, and I see so much of what we had concerns about or opportunities that were taken into this design, and very much thinking in terms of not just this next 5 years, but how is this going to last the community 50 years so it can have a useful life for all of us. So thank you.
Great,
Thank you. I did receive a text in the middle of this from Director Seth Rahman informing that at one time there were remote control boats that utilized that pier. So he's been here much longer than I have.
I have to say I thought so, but I didn't want to think my memory was that I was getting mixed up with like some of the East Coast. That's a really big thing on the East Coast lakes that they have out there. So thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I did hear you mention something about the root flares that are being exposed by the trees. And I think that's a really good sign, especially because you're able to see them, they're visible, and it shows how much structure it has. What plans do you have to kind of mitigate the damage for the root systems? Is there like I did hear you mentioning there's historical trees. So how are we preserving them to minimize the damage in the root system with the construction that's going on?
Thank you for that question. So technically, we don't have historical trees there, but they are trees that are very mature and have been there for a long time. Andy's done a great job of covering that. Number one, we won't be covering any root flares. Andy's team has actually designed the lake edges to expand them, to allow more growth for some of those trees that are near those edges and protect those roots. We do have tree protection plans in place for all of our construction projects. It's in our streetscapes and meeting development standards that set up pretty strict guidelines about staging away from the root flares and underneath the canopies of the trees. Obviously, with these trees, some of that will have some materials there, but we have inspectors on site that inspect that area on a regular basis, so those will be controlled. But as far as protecting the trees in place, they've done a great job of accommodating. A lot of those trees are kind of growing out over to the edges, so it was a great thing that they came up with to actually expand some of those edges and move them out into the lake and accommodate those very mature trees.
Is there any plants that will be planted over the tree, like underneath the tree drip line?
So underneath the drip line, there will be some plant material underneath the drip line just because the drip line of those trees extend out into the lake. So to have any type of ground cover, there's going to have to be some planting. But however, these plants, I don't see them interfering with some of those mature roots. I don't think there's going to be issues with where they are. They are along some of the edges, but it'd be impossible not to have to not have some coverage underneath the drip lines, considering they span that whole middle section there.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, commissioners. Any other commissioner questions, comments? I just have a couple questions to add. Really great feedback on the signage for community involvement. I think so many times when you see large development projects, the signage is so bland with fine print, and it's not really engaging to the community. So I think any way we can think of posting by the lakes to let folks know, especially the neighborhood. There are many folks that walk that route on a daily basis. So I think pull them in, let them know what's going to be happening over the next 12 to 24 months, and I think that engagement is going to benefit the project.
In our company, I think I've offered this before, but we would volunteer to provide those graphics to the city, and we've done signage on a lot of those other projects that I talked about.
Wonderful. I'm interested in more history. I won't belabor the point here, but Raja and team, I'd be interested in more history on the RC boats. The city's always looking for creative ways to have events, get kids and families engaged. So that might be an interesting idea, Monique and team, to look into and maybe plan an event around that for maybe a race or some kind of show or something. Appreciate the attention to the trees as well. You mentioned that you're not going to remove trees on the island, so I remember that discussion from one of our prior meetings. So I again appreciate your attention to that. We love our trees in this city and don't want to remove them. I did want to ask about seating on the island as well as perhaps other areas around the lake. I really like that photo of the stone gables along the walkway as extra seating opportunities. So I was just curious if you'd looked at any other areas to put those around the lake, maybe not just along the walkway on the island.
Yeah, as I just walked the whole place about an hour ago, there is quite a bit of seating on the outside. The middle island area has only got really like 2 places to sit. So I think we are doubling or tripling or quadrupling the amount of sitting on the island. But as far as the perimeter, we don't have any additional at this time, Rob.
Yeah, we focused the scope of the project kind of within that lake boundary, which did include that middle island, but it's definitely something, especially once the area is cleaned up and hopefully the waterfowl are going to a certain location, we can definitely look at adding some more benches and more seating around the outside of the lake.
That sounds great. And that was just a discussion I had with Alma recently as well. There's been a lot of good feedback from community members recently about, different areas of our various parks that need seating. So I think it's, and seating and shade, right? Those are the big upcoming themes. So appreciate your attention to that. And then I guess my last question, Commissioner Wright made a great point with the signage about not feeding the ducks. Just want to encourage you to get, as creative as possible as we can with that signage. Maybe, and that pulls people in, right? If you want to have people's attention, you have to have something funny, catchy, right? So run wild and see what you can come up with. But that's my only feedback. Really excited about the project. Appreciate the work that you've done on it so far and definitely want to support moving it forward.
I just had a question as we were talking about how to engage the community to know what we're doing. Is there a way when we go out to the bid, the construction, because I know like at OCC, one of the parts of the bid is we ask them to have a camera, a video camera to show the construction every day. And I know we have to make sure we don't violate anybody's privacy, but that might, I'm just thinking that was amazing. Like when we were building the planetarium, which is just such a unique facility, we had, I think, an average of 600 people climbing in each week just to see what was happening because we had an inside to show the dome because it was a balloon. And so I think this is an incredible opportunity to engage, to just anybody just think what's going on because it's going to displace people who normally use the park for the whole construction. And I think that would get them, instead of being concerned that they would never get the park back is to realize that. But I'm just wondering if we can make that part of the bid is to have, because it was the construction companies that put the videos up.
That's definitely something we can look into.
You know what, real quickly, taking that one step further, you could take all that accumulated footage that you take from those cameras and turn it into this big, magnificent time lapse when you have the reopening of the park and make that available for the public. That would just blow them away just to see the magnitude of what's been done.
Commissioner Wall, I think you might be volunteering some of your expertise on that project.
Be careful what I wish for.
Yes. The man does shoot video, so he's good at it, yes. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I have a question about the seating again. Was it just benches with no back support? Do we know if we're going to have any seating with back support on the island?
There's a back support on that bench. The wall itself has benches with back support on it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
great. I
yeah.
can't remember it. That's great for older folks too. Thanks.
Sure.
I'm kind of fired up about these ideas around social media. And I think it's an opportunity for the city to engage in public engagement in a different way, like showing what we're doing. I think it's a really great way to communicate with legislators and others in terms of the progress that's going on. And I would imagine that there could be some really creative ways to, snap a photo of yourself at a park before or after. I think there are lots of different things that we could do, and that the parks could have a very visible presence on social media. It strikes me, we're just at the beginning of all these projects, like, let's get it out there. So I would support that.
That comment of educational sign, I think that's really, really important. After walking a lot of botanical gardens, I've noticed that sometimes it kind of attracts your eye to know about the plants, the botanical name, the common name, and just the background of where it came from. So having small little 4-inch plaques underneath that are not tripping hazards, I think that might be something that we can probably fit into the budget. It would attract different types of people that are there for different reasons. So that's just a recommendation, even for the trees themselves too. I think that could be something to get more people involved.
I like it.
Awesome, great feedback. Yeah, just on the signage, some recent projects. I think Rob mentioned this one time that you were doing a project and closed the sand volleyball court and didn't realize there were these people that used it. And then with the Harper Park fence recently, right? I think a big learning has been, when there's going to be this big change or in the park, which is going to be the construction period for these residents, just making sure that, as much as possible, communicate that coming change to them so that they're excited about it and don't react negatively to something that they weren't expecting. So just setting those expectations clearly with, those residents in the immediate vicinity, as soon as, you have a clear idea of when that's coming, I think is gonna just make your lives easier.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Again, we did learn our lesson with the Tanager Park sand volleyball courts for sure.
All good. I don't think they're missed, but we do have to open this up for public comment. So if there's any members of the public that would like to comment on the Tewinkle Parks Lake, now would be the time. Ms. Vitari, is there anybody on Zoom that would like to public comment?
If there are any members on Zoom who would wish to speak, please raise your hand. Tim, you may speak. Tim, you're unmuted. Tim, are you able to use your microphone? To unmute, you may press *6.
Can you hear us, Tim? If so, you're on mute, or you can take yourself off mute to make your public comment now.
Hear me now?
We can. There we go.
Oh yeah, I had my headset on, and for some reason it wasn't working. Apologize for the delay, everyone. My question is, since I know everyone is concerned about the waterfowl, which I understand, but on an ecological nature, everything, like the circle of life, everything balances. Are there positive attributes of having waterfowl? Do they contribute to the environment in a positive way? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Tim. We don't usually do questions back and forth in public comments, but if you want to get through your whole comment and then
oh, okay.
we can definitely give an opportunity to respond afterwards.
Oh, okay. I apologize. Well, I just wanted, my comment is to take that in consideration, that the waterfowl are an asset to a park, not maybe a nuisance thought of. That's all. Comment.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your public comment tonight, Tim. Appreciate you tuning in.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other members on Zoom.
Okay, great. We'll go ahead and close public comment. I think Mr. Cole's comment and feedback is definitely shared by us. We love our waterfowl, and the goal is definitely to accommodate them at the park. Is that right? Awesome. Great. Well, seeing no other commissioner comments or feedback, I think we'll go ahead and close this item. And I hope you've received some good feedback tonight. And we appreciate the chance to stay updated on the project as you move forward.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. We've really enjoyed working on this project. We can't wait to see it come to fruition here over the next, hopefully less than 2 years, Rob. So we'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Awesome. So that takes us to the next item of new business on the agenda, which is the Costa Mesa Senior Center Agenda Report. So we have this presentation by Ms. Villaseñor and the team at the Senior Center.
Thank you, Chair. I'm actually going to introduce Kevin Stoddard, our Senior Recreation Supervisor, to kick us off for this presentation.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. As Monique said, I'm Senior Recreation Supervisor Kevin Stoddard, and it's my pleasure to tell you a little bit about the Costa Mesa Senior Center tonight and also give the chance to the staff to share with you their passion about what they do with this amazing facility. The facility is located at 695 West 19th Street, and the Costa Mesa Senior Center is an incredibly active facility with more than 2,700 active members. The center has 4 full-time staff that work in the facility, and they schedule a slew of classes, events, socials, and seminars. The center also provides multiple free meal programs, free transportation, and is one of the few centers in the entire county to provide a full-time licensed social worker with a robust social services program. I would like to introduce Recreation Supervisor Mariana Duarte, who's the lead supervisor on the facility, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the classes and events that happen.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Mariana Duarte, and I am the Recreation Supervisor at the Costa Mesa Senior Center. I have had the privilege of serving the Costa Mesa community for more than 16 years. I have been with the Senior Center since the facility transitioned from a nonprofit to a city-operated facility in 2014. It has been rewarding to lead an amazing team who are committed to creating a positive and fostering environment to enrich the lives of older adults. I earned my bachelor's degree in human services from Cal State University of Fullerton and originally wanted to become a social worker for the County of Orange or a nonprofit organization. But a part-time job I took in 2007 as a rec leader turned into my passion, and I realized that I could serve the community working in the Parks and Community Services Department. I am excited for my colleagues and I to share some of our amazing programs with you today and how we provide moments that turn into cherished memories for our participants. The Senior Center offers 25 recreational and personal enrichment classes. 14 of these classes are led by volunteers, and some of these classes include Hawaiian dance, ukulele, card making. In addition to volunteer-led classes, Senior Center staff have developed new classes to provide additional opportunities for seniors to learn, socialize, and exercise. Some of these classes include chair exercise and circuit training. We also partner with community organizations such as Amistad Medical Clinics, Hoag Hospital, MELT, and Coastline Community College to offer classes at no charge. We are one of the only senior centers in Orange County that offers 100% of its classes at no cost. We take pride in the ability to do this since the majority of our seniors are on a fixed income. In addition to classes, Senior Center staff organize 12 special events throughout the year. Some of the events we have hosted this year has been the Mardi Gras Social, Mother's Day brunch, National Ice Cream Month celebration, Independence Day luncheon, and the International Food Fair. This fall, we will be hosting our 8th annual Knowledge and Health Fair Expo, LEAP program Trick or Treat, Halloween Bash, Thanksgiving luncheon, and breakfast with Santa. Seniors pay a nominal fee for special events, excluding socials, which are provided at no cost. Special events typically include a catered meal, live entertainment, activities, raffles, and a photo booth. As previously mentioned, the Senior Center will be hosting its 8th annual Knowledge and Health Fair Expo. The expo will be held on Wednesday, September 27th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will have 40 vendors such as Project Food Box, Trellis, and Kaiser Permanente providing resources to the community. This is a free event and open to the public. A special thank you to our event partners, Bankers Life, Greater Newport Physicians, and LifeSpring Home Nutrition. We hope to see you all there. I would now like to introduce you to my colleague, Angelbert Franco, who will be discussing the center's transportation and meal programs.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Recreation Coordinator Angelbert Franco for the Costa Mesa Senior Center. I've been fortunate enough to serve the Costa Mesa community for 9 years, the last 7 of which have been with the senior community of Costa Mesa. The Senior Center has been a second family to me and members we serve. When seniors come in and share their family and vacation photos with us and tell us about their weekends and feels like we're a part of their families. When they walk into the Senior Center and they say second home with the biggest smile on their face, I know they feel the same way we do. I'm currently working on my bachelor's in organizational management to further my career in parks and community services. My goal early on was working with college students in student life and leadership. I never saw myself working in senior services, but now it's difficult to see myself doing anything else. The Senior Transportation Program, or STP, receives funding through OCTA by Measure M2 funds and Hope Community Benefit Grant. In May 2020, the city procured California Yellow Cab as a contractor to provide transportation services for the city of Costa Mesa. Participants registered for the program need to be registered as Senior Center members, must be 60 and older, must be Costa Mesa residents, and exhibit independence and ability for self-care. For participants unable to show self-care, a liaison may accompany participants on their trips. As always, all services for transportation are completely free of cost. Through a partnership with Meals on Wheels Orange County, the Senior Center offers the Congregate Lunch Cafe program. The Congregate program operates Monday through Friday and serves seniors a hot meal. The Meals on Wheels home delivered meal program is offered to eligible homebound seniors with little to no support. Meals on Wheels conducts over-the-phone assessments and meals are packed at the Senior Center. Meals are delivered by Meals on Wheels volunteers Monday through Friday to 49 Costa Mesa seniors. Another program the center offers is a senior grocery program. And this program offered through a partnership with Second Harvest Food Bank on the second and fourth Friday of the month. Food is delivered by Second Harvest Food Bank and city staff and volunteers load and organize the food. In the last month, this program has served more than 160 households per distribution, and we're very grateful to our partners, whom without, we'd be unable to reach so many members of the Costa Mesa community. And Lucy Singh will now discuss social services program at the Senior Center.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. My name is Lucy Singh. I'm a community outreach worker at the Costa Mesa Senior Center. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from University of California, Irvine, and a master's degree in social work from Washington University in St. Louis. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. Since I was very young, I knew what I would like to be in the helping profession when I grow up. I was a member of the Rotary Club in high school and participated in various community volunteer opportunities, including visiting seniors in the local nursing home. I've been in the social work profession for about 20 years, with 15 of these years working with older adults. I started working at the Costa Mesa Senior Center October of last year. Prior to coming to Costa Mesa Senior Center, I worked for the City of Irvine Senior Services for 10 years. My first work experience with seniors was in a community adult day healthcare center. While working at the Adult Day Healthcare Center, I became familiar with some of the common struggles our seniors will experience. I noticed older adults have various issues that needs to be addressed. However, many of them do not have the support they need to get connected to services and resources. Since then, it has been my passion to support older adults by advocating for them. My role at the Costa Mesa Senior Center is to empower seniors and their support person with knowledge of pertinent services and resources in the community that can help address unmet needs seniors often have. I feel very blessed being able to do what I love in the social work profession. Through my work at the Senior Center, it has been a pleasure meeting the center patron and learn about their diverse background. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity tonight to share with you about our center's social services program. As a Senior Center community outreach worker, I provide various services under our social services program with the support of our Senior Center's community services leader. Our social services program is partially funded by the Community Development Block Grant. Services provided by this program include one-on-one appointments, social support and support groups, health and wellness presentation, and community outreach. Many seniors in the community face multiple challenges related to aging process with limited support network. One-on-one appointments are available through the Senior Center Social Services Program to address senior residents' unmet needs. Through our one-on-one appointment, seniors and their support person receive assistance getting connected to needed services. One-on-one appointments are offered in person or over the phone and can be scheduled with the center front desk or me. Resources provided in one-on-one appointment include housing, food, financial, transportation, legal, in-home care, and health, including mental health. I facilitate 2 support groups through our Senior Center, a senior services program. The first group is the Veteran Social Group, where veterans, their spouse, and family members share their story about military life. The group meets on first Tuesday of the month with attendance of 20 to 25 individuals. The second group is the transition support group, which meets on second and fourth Tuesday of the month. The group attendees discuss life, aging challenges, receive emotional support, and learn healthy coping skills in a safe and nurturing environment. We have about 8 to 10 attendants to the group. We offer no-cost presentation every month to provide educational information on health-related topic and pertinent community resources to empower seniors and promote health and wellness. Our presenters include Council on Aging, Community Legal Aid SoCal, AARP, Whole Community Health, and County of Orange Healthcare Agency. The presentation topic covers legal rights of older adults, estate planning, senior scam prevention, driver safety, health, and emotional wellness. Community outreach is another part of my role as an outreach worker. Over the past 6 months, I visited the Tower on 19 Senior Apartment Community and Trey Wynn's Mobile Home Park to share about services and support our Senior Center and Social Services Program offer. On May 20th of this year, Senior Center Recreational Supervisor Mariana Duarte and I attended the annual Love Costa Mesa Day and held an outreach table to promote our Senior Center services. Earlier this year, I provided outreach presentation at the Trellis Community Leader Meeting, Costa Mesa Women's Club, and the City Mobile Home Park Advisory Committees to inform these organizations about services offered by Social Services Program. I also visited community organizations such as Share Ourselves, Melinda Hoke Smith Center for Healthy Living, to build supportive partnership to assist our community seniors in need. Our social services program collaboratively work with City's Network for Homeless Solution, County Outreach Engagement Program, and Adult Protective Services to provide support to senior center patrons in unhoused or unstable housing situation. Over the next 2 weeks, we will be helping seniors who need assistance in submitting application to the Section 8 housing program waitlist. On Friday, October 27, we will participate in Supervisor Foley's Senior Summit at Soka University. This concludes our presentation on Costa Mesa Senior Center. We'll answer any questions you may have about our center.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for the presentation and the hard work you're doing and dedication to taking care of seniors in our community. Open it up for the commission for any questions. None from this side. Go ahead.
Not so much a question, just an offer. I take great energy in scam prevention, and I've made it my mission to help people make themselves aware of the scams that are out there, and there's hundreds of them, if not thousands. I would, among the other things that Chairman Rutherford's volunteered me for, I would volunteer my services to help with anything having to do with senior scam prevention. It's kind of one of those hot button issues for me, and I would love to help in some capacity.
Thank you so much for the offer.
You bet.
Thank you all for this really great presentation. I have a bunch of questions. So I don't actually really even know where to start, but the first thing I would wonder is, do we have just one outreach worker? Are you the outreach worker? Do we have multiple outreach workers? And I'll stop.
Yes, I am the outreach worker, I guess, in the Costa Mesa Senior Center. Recently, we added one of the community leaders to help with some admin project I'm working on.
Do you feel like you're...
Sorry, Commissioner Brown,
I'd
like to add that a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, I think, we had one part-time community outreach worker that worked 20 hours a week. One of my favorite things about the center is how dynamic it is, much more than our other programs, and we shift our weight around rather rapidly. So a year from 12 months from last October, we now have Lucy. It's a full-time community outreach worker. We shifted staff positions around, and we had added the part-time assistant to help her with all the outreach. So there's a whole lot that's going into this, and it's a lot of good work that Lucy's doing.
Do you all feel like you're able to meet the needs with one full-time outreach worker? I guess I'm curious, another way of posing that question is how many one-on-one appointments do you feel like you could take but simply can't because, it's over 40 hours a week, for example?
More would always be better. We've seen definitely a large rise in our social services needs. Specific numbers, I don't know if Mariana or Lucy can speak to that. But just from 12 months, we've added, again, about 40 hours of extra staff time.
So on average, we're serving about 200 unduplicated clients, and we do have clients that come back, to have other needs that they might have. My supervisor and I have discussed regarding adding some master level interns. I do have a license, so I can provide supervision to them. So I know some of the local universities do have social work programs. So that's one thing we're looking at next year. It's actually will be a great experience for the intern to learn about resources in the community, but as well as building clinical skill. And of course, they would provide support to our center program.
And more work for you, but good work. I was listening to a program on KCRW yesterday about the loneliness epidemic. And COVID has worsened that, but just giving percentages of how many people in America identify as lonely. And I was thinking about it in terms of our senior population. And this journalist had gone over to various communities where the loneliness, they don't identify it as much as an issue, and he was examining it. And so I guess it's led me to this question, which is, in your experience, and I'm pointing you out, but maybe all of you, but in your time doing this kind of work, have you noticed any trends, or I'm just curious to know, what have you noticed in terms of, are there changes in terms of senior needs? And I'm fixated on this loneliness idea, but I think it could, obviously food insecurity and housing it. Would be curious to know, because you all are on the ground, what you've seen in terms of Costa Mesa seniors. Does that make sense?
So for our community development block grant, every quarter we do submit stats, and we do look at the topics that seniors are reaching out to us about. I know mental health is definitely one of the ones that's increased need. Through my one-on-one appointments, I do notice that there are more seniors that are looking for to get counseling or mental health services because what happened with COVID and being so isolated. But, we do encourage our seniors to participate in activities. And also we have our congregate meal program. They're getting nutritious meals as well as having socialization opportunity through the meal program and some of the activities as well, since it's no cost, that a lot of them who, doesn't matter with their socioeconomic or financial situation, they can participate.
I can stop there and share the space with others. Thank you.
I can go. Hi, thank you so much. It's really great to hear your heart for your jobs and for our community. I just want to start off saying I strongly support that a lot of the classes are free and that the events are affordable. That was something that was brought up with our summer youth programs as well, and I think that's really important, and I hope we can all agree that that should remain a priority, is keeping these community services accessible to everyone. And I'm glad to hear that it's such a successful program and center. I'll start with just kind of a softball question. I would love to hear, what is your favorite part of your job?
For me, it's developing relationships with the seniors. It's been very rewarding just being a part of, their milestones. We had a couple who actually met at our congregate lunch program. They met in January. They got married about 2 weeks ago. They actually came and they brought us a cake and we ordered pizza and we celebrated with them. They really wanted to make sure that they got to celebrate with us as well. So, just being part of their milestones and whatnot, because, sometimes you think that at a certain time, or a certain point of life, there's no milestones, but there is, and I definitely look at aging differently now, and it's just been very rewarding. I have some seniors who are 95 years old, and we talk like we are best friends. A lot of them state that they feel like they're 17 at heart, and I can totally relate to that as well. So that's been my most favorite part of the job. And at the center, it's very different compared to other facilities. These seniors come every single day, so they are definitely like our second family. And for a lot of them, they have family who live far away, or they're widowed, or they're widowers. So it's been very rewarding just to be, part of their community, especially with the men that come to our facility. We've had some widowers who have come, and you see the first day they're kind of just checking it out and a little nervous, and then a couple months later they're in the billiards room and having fun and playing music and meeting people. So that's the most rewarding part for me.
Well, like Dad, for me, I don't have the experience that these three have at the senior center. It fell under my umbrella right in 2020 when we had the pandemic, and just learning the extent of what they did was mind-blowing. The grocery program that was occurring on Fridays, it was every Friday at the time. I did the math on how many groceries were being distributed for free. It was 9 tons per month. Like that's a mind-blowing number. Transportation just this month, or last month rather, there were 1,300 free rides. And some of these rides, they're pretty expensive. The medical transportation program can go all throughout the county. A particular gentleman, I looked, he went somewhere, I think it was in Fountain Valley or maybe Santa Ana, to a VA clinic, then took a ride right from there to the VA hospital and then came back home. That's a $90 ride. And if you're a senior on a fixed income, that's such an incredible service. It just, the amount of work and amount of services that get out of there is just mind-blowing to me. That's absolutely my favorite part.
My favorite part has to be the variety of classes that we're able to offer there. We're serving such a large range of ages, from 50 to up. We have a member that's 99 years old. And so being able to accommodate classes that everybody can take, and developing like art classes and art programs, and then physical training and classes that they're there because they can't afford the physical therapy, but they claim that those classes have helped them more than what the physical therapy was doing for them before. And so hearing from them and how rewarding those classes have been for them, I'm like, yeah, of course, it's going to be free, and it's always going to be free.
My favorite part is working one-on-one with clients. And I have clients where when they come in, just you see the body language and even the despair or just feeling I don't have support. Because a lot of them do live by themselves, even if they have family member, but they're not maybe not speaking with a family member or there's relationship strain. So from the time when they sit down, in my office and talking about and sharing about what they're struggling with, and then being able to listen to them, empathize, and also being able to provide some resources. I've seen so many of them, before, like 5 minutes before they leave, there you can just feel the positiveness and the hopefulness they have. And it's just very rewarding to know that, I could provide that kind of impact on a senior.
Wow. Thank you so much. Oh, I guess like the two words that stand out to me is that this is almost like life-saving support that you guys are offering, like truly wraparound critical support, even if it's, a fun class. It's so much more, it's so much deeper than that. So I'm so glad you just shared all that with us and for the public record. My next question would just be, how can we as the community support you better? Are there any volunteer opportunities that you'd like to get out there more? Is there anything you could use the public support in? And also, on the city level, I would love to hear if there was one thing that you could change, what would it be?
For volunteers, Meals on Wheels is always looking for volunteers, especially to drive meals to seniors in the community. So that is one that really sticks out for a volunteer opportunity. If I could change anything, probably have a bigger social services department. Compared to other cities, ours is really small. We are very lucky that we actually have a licensed clinical social worker. A lot of centers don't have that, so in that aspect, we're very, very lucky. We love Lucy. She's been a great addition. And, but yeah, I think that would probably be my biggest one, is to have a bigger social services program.
To add to that, the thing that change that we're looking at, as I mentioned, transportation. We did 1,300 rides last month. I think that's the most that's ever happened. There's a growing senior population that's larger needs, and it's really trying to figure out creative sources of funding to sustain this. We get a lot of money from the county and HO grants, but if this continues to increase, we need to find other sources of funding or figure out other ways to modify the program. But the cab company we use right now is very efficient, but just finding a way to increase with the increasing senior population.
Just one last acknowledgement. I noticed, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
I also think Lucy was about to share, right?
Yes. Sorry. Oh, thank you. I agree with Mariana. Definitely, my goal is to grow our senior services program and looking at more staffing and also more interns being able to join. Like I mentioned before, I feel like it's such a great learning opportunity. I think a lot of time with older adults, I think a lot of the younger generation, unless they grew up with grandparents, have that exposure. The seniors are just so isolated, and just being able to educate our community about some of these seniors having the struggles. And I feel Costa Mesa's, I was at City of Irvine for senior services for 10 years. I came here. I was really blown away by just some of the community services, organization like Trellis and like Labor of Love, which is amazing when I refer clients to the program. And also just some of the churches, even though they're small, but for me, they're really powerful because they want to serve the community and also our seniors in need. So being able to do more outreach, that's my goal, to be able to do that with some of the churches and get to know them and build a relationship with them. I feel it's very important.
I mentioned our exercise classes is something I was proud that we're able to offer, but in order to expand that, like we've added more classes that have a higher intensity. So if I could have anything, it would be to install a health center, because it would be like a huge asset for the center. And it's something that people come in and ask about a lot about. And while we do have some exercise equipment, it's limited. And so a health center would be something that would allow us to expand in that manner.
Thank you so much for answering my more personal questions. I love all those ideas, and I hope we can all relay those back to our council members to share with them this amazing presentation we just heard. And to close out, I also just want to volunteer myself to do whatever class or whatever thing you would like to do. I am my grandmother's, I'm her tech expert, I'm her social media translator, and I'm her VIP travel agent as well. So thank you so much. On to you, Terry, or Commissioner Wall, excuse me.
My bad. Sorry, I jumped in there. It was just the number 200 unduplicated clients that jumped out at me as you did your presentation. And that would be a full-time docket if you did that on your own as a clinical social worker. So I just want to give you huge props for doing that. I mean, that's just a monumental task, it seems like to me. And to everyone's point that we've all said that if there's anything else that we can do either here or through the community to just extend that to you and through you, we'd just be happy to help.
Thank you. Good evening. I just wanted to take this moment to really thank this team. The Senior Center does some incredible things. And I was part of that 2014 team when we evaluated the current structure and realized that in order to have this impact in the community, we needed to take full responsibility. And at that time, the council made that decision because this is how important this population is to us. And I think one of my favorite times of year is being able to volunteer alongside these amazing folks when we do the events. So I encourage you to attend. It's just, I love Joni. I've known Joni since I started working in the city of Costa Mesa. She's one of the seniors that attends, and she has this fabulous rainbow hair. And just, I mean, when you go there and you see the energy, the love, the care, the dedication that's mutually shared by the participants and the staff is very commendable. It is very inspiring, and it really, kind of makes us feel, that what we are doing is impactful and we're changing lives, and we're giving our older adults a space where they feel safe, they feel loved, they feel cared for. And I really want to commend this team because they run a really great operation at the Senior Center. And every time that I go, I'm just amazed by the level of, detail that they do. I went to a prom, which was fantastic. There was a Mother's Day brunch. Just the level of care from this team and the love that they give the seniors is, again, very commendable. So thank you for all that you do.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Reyes. Commissioner, you wanted to ask a question? Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for everything you all do. I do remember meeting Mariana and Lucy when Trellis hosted that event. And just the background, like the stories that you hear from elderly people suffering from not having anybody in their side. And I had the opportunity to talk to someone from Meals on Wheels, and they mentioned that they showed me the whole kit. I mean, they were excited. They're full of love, right? They mentioned that they go inside of the homes, drop off the product, the food, and the seniors, what they want to do is they want to talk. They feel lonely, but they're constricted with time. And they said they really, really need volunteers. So I think that's really urgent. That's exactly what they told me. And I feel like there's an urgency to reach out and see any way we can volunteer or share this information. Another thing that Wendy, Lisa, myself, and other leaders have been talking about is senior scam prevention and English learning classes to empower our community. And I feel like if we can use the facility or collaborate in any way to offer these, these classes or opportunities for anybody else that isn't attending, I think that's something that we might, want to talk about after. But thank you so much for everything you guys do. Seriously. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I think some great feedback has already been shared. I just wanted to quickly add on a couple points. I think something that really reflects the incredible work that you're doing are, and I don't want to skip ahead, but are the numbers that Alma included in the director's report, especially the numbers for the senior programs, Meals on Wheels, Second Harvest grocery boxes, wellness calls. I actually wanted to comment on that because there seems to be a quite significant increase in August 2023 compared to prior months. And I was just curious if you're, and it seems to be a reflection of the hard work you're doing, increased staff capacity, pay increases. But I just wanted to ask if there was anything else to that, if you're seeing an uptick in need in the community, or if there's more context you could provide to some of those numbers, because it is a significant increase for the Meals on Wheels and the Second Harvest grocery boxes for the month of August compared to all prior months in 2023.
Again, I can only speculate as to why. I think there's a growing senior population, and just the amount that the senior center does, there's a lot of spread word of mouth. Like I said, the transportation program is exploding, and from what we can tell, it's word of mouth. Talking to there's free rides, great services. Why would you not take advantage of that if you're on a fixed income? That would be my speculation. I have no solid evidence as to that's what's driving this.
Also, we have created several resource flyers that we have been distributing out into the community. We created a trifold, just letting everyone know in English and Spanish. That was distributed during Love Costa Mesa Day. Everyone that was visiting our booth, we were giving them little packets and encouraging them to take it back to where they were working so they could pass them out. So that was very successful as well. We actually have one of our staff members, she's very involved with the local St. Joachim's Church. So she's our little outreach worker when she's there at her shifts at work or at church. So she's been taking outreach pamphlets or two as well, but definitely word of mouth. We've been getting a lot of people coming in every month for memberships and for the food programs. So yeah, we've been really busy. We do have a couple of new staff thanks to the hiring event. They're all awesome. So yeah, we're really lucky to have a really good team.
Any other feedback from your end?
Yes, there has been an increase in the number of participants coming into the grocery program, but we're fortunate enough that our partner, Second Harvest Food Bank, has been able to accommodate those higher numbers for us as well. So whenever we see that uptick, we're able to request more food, and we've been able to receive that full amount so that we're able to get those that resource to all the members of the community that are coming in.
I definitely agree with Kevin and Mariana regarding word of mouth. I have several clients that have come recently and they were referred by a friend of theirs or fellow senior center patrons, because I think sometimes when you don't know about a program, you're kind of hesitant to reach out, especially, things that's difficult to talk about. But I think for them, when they have a good experience and I hear that, oh, my friend referred me and said you were able to provide resources, to address my needs. And that means a lot that we're doing good work and providing the support and also just more presence in the community.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the updates and your insights on that. Commissioner Go ahead.
It just reminds me, as more seniors are now coming for meals and Meals on Wheels, we know in this part of social services, we know from students and seniors, the food is an easy ask to come in for, and then I know at that point they feel comfortable, then they can start to then expand their needs to ask. And I know you don't have enough of you to really go deeper, but I love seeing the increase in food, and I'm so glad Second Harvest is the partner. But that is, we know that's an entry into understanding what else do they need. So thank you, because I as we're finding out too, all over, whether it's seniors or students, the easy come in is to ask for the food, and then you can ask for the tougher questions that really is about loneliness and mental health and other resources and the unhoused. So thank you. That's really important, that entry point.
Definitely. My only other question was just out of curiosity, because like some of you, I also, watch the city council meetings intently, and I was just curious, and I don't think this is a reflection at all. I think it's actually a reflection of, they're being pulled into the process, and it's good to have their engagement when some of our, senior centers members come and, share their feedback. But that just got me thinking, if there's a comment box or a way for feedback to be shared directly at the desk in the senior center, and not necessarily for like things that are going wrong or things that are needed, but it can also be a good thing for you to get written notes from senior center members to the staff of how much they appreciate the work that you're doing.
There's actually a section in the newsletter that goes out to all senior center members every month that specifies 3 very easy ways to provide feedback. There is a comment box that's anonymous. There's also the senior center's email that actually gets quite a few requests, feedback goes through there, and then the most common way is just talk to the staff at the front desk. Most things are very specific, but we also do a series of surveys. A while ago, we did a survey that was kind of aimed at our vending machines, but also just general satisfaction of the senior center. I think we do 2 ridership surveys for transportation. There's surveys done for social services. There's a tremendous amount of effort gone into seeking feedback. Like I said, the center is very dynamic, and it is because of the amount of feedback that we receive, and then we shift our weight around to what are we receiving.
That's good to hear, Kevin. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, those are my only comments tonight. Ms. Vitari, I don't suspect there's anybody on Zoom who would like to make a public comment on this item.
There are no members on Zoom.
Got it. Wonderful. Seeing no more commissioner comments, we'll go ahead and close the item. And once again, thank you all for your hard work and sharing your insights and expertise with us tonight. And please stay in touch. We want to be supportive and continue to champion the work that you're doing. So if there's anything that the city manager's office can do or that we can do as commissioners, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to support you. Wonderful. Well, that brings us to the last item on the agenda, which is the director's report. So Ms. Reyes, we're gonna turn it over to you.
Sure thing. Thank you. And I want to thank every single one of you for all the feedback that you have provided tonight on both of the items. We do have a great team and access to the city manager's office as well, with me being in this role, and our communications team. So a lot of great feedback that we can turn into products that will help educate and, change kind of the perspective on how we signage in the community and being more open about the projects that are happening and being proactive versus reactive. We've had some tough lessons, so I'm willing to move forward with that. As far as the, park spaces, particularly Harper Park, there's a lot of coordination that does happen with the school district, internally with our police department, our public works team. So we are in the works. So that is moving along, and we'll be providing you updates as we move closer to that. I did want to mention to the commission that there will be, this is a save a date, there's going to be a commission committee academy. So those dates are October 5th from 3:30 to 5:30. And there will be a second session on October 19th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and it's going to be here at City Hall. And it's the orientation with the city manager, city attorney, and the city clerk. Some of the topics that will be covered are the handbook and advisory bodies, ad hoc committees, conflicts of interest, Brown Act, and policies. We'll make sure that you receive this information so that you can select what date works best for you. So I thank you tonight for all of your feedback, and again, thank you to the Senior Center staff for that wonderful presentation. I'll go ahead and turn it over to our Recreation Manager, Monique Villaseñor. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager. I'll keep it brief tonight. I really like to focus on the Senior Center presentation, and I think that just goes as a testament to even our last presentation when we presented on summer programs and aquatics, that everybody has a true passion for what they do, whether that's aquatics or seniors or youth programming. We have all the right staff in place. And that's what the intent of bringing these programs and services as a presentation to you guys, so you can really see not only what we offer, but who's offering them, and really see that we have the best staff in place. I can guarantee you that. So rest assured that all these programs and services are in good hands. But I, again, echo the comments. Thank you, staff, for making that wonderful presentation. So I'll keep it light. I know that you can see the numbers. Obviously, summer numbers are tremendous, and they're bigger in terms of aquatics or youth programming. But I did want to highlight a couple things. Our ROCKS program, as I mentioned last time, does not have a capacity, and so those numbers are thriving. If you look at that, some sites 108 kids, which previously last summer we did not, or last school year we did not have. Some of those school sites were capped at 35, 45 students. So to be able to offer these services to these parents who really need after school care is really critical for our department. Our park reservations are thriving. We're really happy with the Tewinkle Lakes project, because Tewinkle is one of our most permitted parks in the city. A recent addition to our department is we are now taking over film permits in the city, so that's a new endeavor. And I'd just like to take this moment to thank Kathia Viteri over here, because she is leading our department in our new TESSA program. So our permit program that helps you apply for special events permits and these new film permits within our department. So TESSA, if you haven't seen it, there's a website. And she has been critical for our department to lead these efforts and really streamline that permit process. So I just want to take that minute to thank her. And then just last but not least, well, not last, but in program-wise, if you haven't noticed, our mobile rec program started this week. And we had kids out and about, and it's thriving, and they are so excited, and I only anticipate that those numbers grow every week. Just some of the pictures that are coming out, you see the smiles on these kids' faces. They've been looking forward to this. So happy to have that program back up and running. So lastly, I just want to cover some of these events that we have coming up, which we actually have a lot. So you always think that we have a lot in summer, but like I said, we always have a lot going on all the time. So upcoming events, just we'll go some of them real briefly. This is a partnership with our city manager's office. We have a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration coming up on Saturday, September 23rd from 11 to 2 at the Lions Park event lawn. So we'll have music, food, cultural festivities. So really encourage you to come out and participate in that celebration. As Mariana had mentioned, the Senior Center is having their Knowledge and Health Fair Expo. I really encourage you to come out to that. It's very well attended. It's very beneficial. They have a lot of vendors, and it's very interesting and fun to see that the seniors taking part in this resource event. Again, we have free park performances. This will be going on every year throughout the year at various parks. These are smaller performances. Our last one was on August 26th. Our next one coming up is on September 30th at Tewinkle Park. They're short 45-minute performances from symphonies. In the future, we'll have other kind of performers. So just be on the lookout for that. That's a really big arts initiative that we have. And this big one, that's a longstanding tradition here in the city of Costa Mesa, is our Scarecrow Festival, Saturday, October 14th, 2 to 6. There's still time to submit a scarecrow, I believe. Kathy is also helping with that event right there. So encourage you to come out. We try to make it, bigger, better, and ever than for all the little kids that want to come out and dress up in their costumes and walk in a costume parade. We definitely encourage that. It's such a sight to see and so cute. So. And it is not just for kids and adults too. So, Barktoberfest. I know our department recently transitioned animal services over to our police department, but we are still the, kind of the events team here, and we're still helping out with this event, which is still a great event for your pet families and the pet parents out there. So it's really interesting if you haven't ever been out there. There's a lot of good resources. There's opportunities for adoptions. So come out there, see our partners in our animal care services, dress your pet up, take a picture, and participate in those festivities. And next we have our Access Costa Mesa. So this is one of the new programs I've been talking to you guys about in terms of adapted programming. We have this new ability to program for our, I don't want to say we say adaptive because special needs is not something that is a kind of a phrase that we're trying to move away from. So, but this is a all abilities friendly dance that we're having coming up. And so we encourage anybody that wants more information or to sign up. It's, completely free. So we look forward to that as well. This is a partnered event called Trunk or Treat. I'm not sure if any of you have ever attended this, but it's in the IKEA parking lot. We partner with the Power of One. This is a very large event in the parking lot where you could visit trunks. We pass out candy, and our mobile rec van has a huge decorated trunk, and they pass out candy to kids in the line, and everybody gets to dress up. So another opportunity for kids to dress up and get some free candy and do some activities. So part of our free park performances is partnering with the library as well to do some of their festivities as well, because it's right there in the event lawn. So we're having a special Day of the Dead experience right there on the event lawn on October 28th. This is also in conjunction with our Art Venture series. So this is going to be a kind of a new format where our Art Venture juried art show will stay up at the Norma Herzog Community Center for a little over a week. We will have a community art event on October 28th. So that partners with that Day of the Dead performance right there on the lawn. And then later on in the evening, we have an award ceremony for the art winners at ACMA, Orange County Museum of Art. So this is all free to the public, so we encourage you to come out, check out some art. It's a very great event, and you see just how talented the art that gets submitted to this juried art show. And with that, that's all the events. And I'm here for questions.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Monique and Ms. Reyes. Any commissioner questions? Take it away, Terry.
Just one. The top of the report, the community gardens, the waitlisted number for Del Mar almost doubled. What do you attribute that to?
Our gardens continue to be popular. I mean, I know that we brought this before you guys again. We actually had an opportunity to walk the gardens a couple of times more to try to figure out some more unique ways of actually exploring to add plots. So we continue to do that. We're building some, I guess you would say, prototypes of maybe smaller plots and to see how well those work. So I think when we talked about it last time, COVID really brought out, the green thumb in people, and also, the lack of, yards to garden. People just really want to be able to grow their own foods, healthy sustainability. I think we're really promoting that in the community, in Costa Mesa specifically. And so I think the need for garden space is always going to continue to be there. And so, it's one of those things that's a fun problem to have, but not fun, but because we're really unique in having community gardens, and not just one, but two. We've had a couple of other cities come out and look at our gardens too, because they want to model our model. So that's pretty neat to have. So, but we're trying to come up with unique ways to solve this wait list.
All right, seeing no other commissioner questions or comments, I don't think there's anybody for public comment. Is that correct, Ms. Vittori? Wonderful, thank you. We'll open and close public comment. And I don't have any comments to share, so I think we can receive and file this report. Appreciate the updates. And looks like we're not gonna get out of here too late tonight. So that brings that does bring us to the end of our agenda. If there's any additional comments from Ms. Reyes, Ms. Fatua, go ahead.
I do want to comment that there was a clerical error regarding the park ranger report. So the upcoming month in October, you will see July, August, and September reports for that agenda. So I just want to make sure that way the public has opportunity to provide any public comment if they wish.
Sounds great. Thank you for the update. We'll appreciate all of your time tonight. Thank you. That concludes our meeting. Our next meeting will be on October 12th, so we will see you all then. I don't think we need them. We just adjourn.
Okay. Whatever.